Sup dudes, I'm 3Seventh here and welcome back to another video. It's another Java tutorial. Now last time we looked at all sorts of operations and stuff and it I think went well. Anyway, so we're done with operations. So now we're just gonna create a new project. Go here. We're gonna call this one tutorial 3. Naturally. So in here, just delete the comments. So today we're finally working on input. So now, how do we do input? Well, we want a number 1. We're going to get num1, num2. We want those to be inputs. So we want system, we want to ask for the input, right? Print ln. Let's try enter a number. Now, let's do this as system.out.print. Okay, this is where we get num1, and we system.out.print enter, not enter, no, that's supposed to be one word, another number. Okay, and then we get num2, and then we do system.out.print ln, the sum is, and this is cool, this is an interesting thing, you can nest this, and basically what this will do is will because of the brackets, it will, yes, it's giving us that error. Because of the brackets, this will add this and as an integer, and then it will throw it onto the string because of the brackets. Really useful. Now, I know it's giving me an error because these haven't been initialized. We're going to fix that. So you might have messed around with system. Might have been when you saw the system.out that you saw system.in. So you might think, okay, num1 equals system.in dot. Now, this does technically work, but it does some stuff that we don't want to do. There is a better way to do it. Okay? Let's delete these comments, by the way. What we want to do is we got to hit enter here. We want to type in capital S C-A-N-N-E-R right there. Capital S C-A-N-N-E-R. We're just going to call this input equals new scanner. That's called a scanner. And then system.in goes in these brackets. This line did a bunch. Now, this line did a lot of stuff here. Now, you can see it's got some errors. You're thinking, what the heck is happening? First of all, you're thinking, what on earth? Is this like declaring a new variable? Yes. But all of this, I can't really explain it right now. Just accept that this creates something you can use for input. Now, it's giving me an error. That's what you just click on this. It says add input for java.util.scanner. All the rest of this is other stuff named scanner. But then this is just some other stuff that just, yeah, you're not really going to figure this out. But this is the one we want, java.util.scanner. Add import for that. It puts it up here, which is where it's supposed to be. Do not question that. Now what you want to do is you want to do num1 equals input dot next int. And you want to do the same thing here. num2 equals input dot next int. I am not going to explain what I just did there. Let's just say what this is saying is it's going to say collect a number. All right, now let's run this. Let's actually run this. Enter a number, 43. Enter a number, 56. That was a coincidence. I did not intend for them to exactly equal 99, but they do. And it worked, you see? Now, I'm not going to explain how these work or why these work just yet. You just need to know that they work right now. All right? Now, the next thing to worry about is, now you might be thinking, okay, great, we can input numbers, but how about we input text? And you're right, we can do that. So let's ask the user for their name. System.out.print what is your name? Okay, now, variables, you always declare them at the beginning of the thing. String name right there. So we're just going to do name equals input dot. Now this is interesting. There's a bunch of stuff you can do. What you want to do is next line. This does something else. It also works. I'm going to explain what on earth any of this does later. ToString, that, just pretend that does not exist. That does nothing. But basically what we want is dot next line. And now, I accidentally hit insert. And now let's print the name. Hello. Name. Okay. Now let's see this. So we enter the number 23, 47. What just happened? It did not allow us to enter their name. Well, there's this funny thing that happens with scanners in that after you do input.nextInt, .nextLine won't really work properly. What you want to do is after each one, type this line, input.nextLine. It makes no sense. It's one of the most confusing things in this tutorial. You don't understand it. I'm not going to explain it, but you run this. Let's do 47, 89. Sum is 136. What is your name? Now it's allowing us to ask for the name. So I am the 379th hero. Hello, the 379th hero. Boom, it worked. That is the basics of this. Now, there are other things. Like, these aren't going to stay. I'm going to comment these out. Like, there's input.next. Not going to explain what that, it basically does it, but does not collect white space. Like tab. These two, don't need to worry about them. Don't worry about these. Boolean basically asks for, if you type true or false, it works. Otherwise, it doesn't. So that's one that exists. Input dot next byte. Input dot next double. Input dot next float. Input dot next. We already did line and int long. input dot next short input dot next. I believe that might be all of them. Yeah, that's all of them. Okay, so as you can see here, this collects for all the variable types I showed you in the first tutorial. It collects for strings. Both this one and that one do that. That one does up until it reaches white space, and then it ignores anything after that. That one only accepts true or false. That one accepts a number. All of these accept numbers. Okay, so does the next int. So basically, all the variables I showed you in the first thing, they do this. Now, this tutorial was a bit short, so I'm going to show you random as well. So I said I was going to comment this out. Boom. Those are all the extra stuff that can be done with scanners. All right. So there's going to be a part 2 to tutorial 3. It's the first time I've done something with a part 2 to it. So let's go in here. Tutorial without caps lock being enabled. 03 underscore 1. Do not ask what that did. So yeah, this is basically saying this is the first extra part of this tutorial. Okay, that's all good. So random. You get some random, and you get something to do random in much the same way you did with scanner. So you type random with a capital R at the beginning. I normally name it rand, and then it equals new random. Put brackets, and you don't put anything in the brackets. It's weird, it's confusing, but you'll understand it later point. Anyway, so what's happening here is this gives you a random number. So we literally can do this just like this. And it does have the same sort of thing, except it doesn't have stuff to generate strings. It does Boolean, double, float, int, and long. It doesn't even have a byte or short by the looks of things. It does have a bunch of other stuff, but the only thing we really need to worry about are these guys. Next float, next int. Next Boolean does a random true or false, so it's like randomly true, randomly false. Now, this is going to do something interesting. Rand.nextInt. Random integer right there, everybody. However, you might think, I want to do this with a bit of an upper bound. Int bound. So what this does, this time it accepts you put an integer inside there. It says it goes from 0 to the specified value, but it includes 0 but not the specified value. So let's say we want to do it from 0 to 5. We wanted to put in a 6 there. We are not going to see 6. Are we going to see 0? Because this should include 0. Okay, there's 0. Anyway, but let's say you don't want it to include 0. Then what you do is you change this to a 5, and then you do +1 there. This will not include 0. There's a bunch of other ways to do it. But basically what's happening is basically what you're looking at is, okay, let's look at the structure of this by opening this. All right, so you have your rand.next int, and in brackets, you want to put in the brackets. I'll explain how you're doing this in a bit, but this is y and this is x. That's what they are. No, I don't want to save it right now. Anyway, so what y is 0 plus lowest number. Basically, the lowest number you want to randomly generate. So, for example, if you want to randomly generate anything down to negative numbers, you just put a negative number in there. So it'll become minus. And then x equals, this is an interesting one, because it equals highest number plus 1 minus y. All right? So let's look at it this way. Let's say we wanted to, why do I have extra lines here? Let's say I accidentally got rid of that. Okay, system, I wish I wasn't tapping everything on my keyboard. Let's say we wanted to do from what happens when you put 0 there? Yep, it doesn't know what to do. It just like completely goes, what am I doing? Okay. So yeah, do not put 0 in here ever. As in ever, but if you put a 1 in here, I just realized you will always get 0 because this is exclusive of this number. Anyway, so let's say we want to do it from -4 to 3. Okay, let's ignore this for a bit. So this, remember, is our lowest value, so -4 here. Now, look at this. It says highest number, which is 3, plus 1 minus y. Now, you saw it had a bit of an error with 0, but it's minus this one. So it's technically plus 4, so it's 8 right there. So what this will do is from 0 to 7 and -4, which means the top bound, the 7, goes down by 4 to 3. -1, 0, -3, -2, 3, -1, -4. And I think we've basically showed that it works. There you go. So that is how you do random. Very simple. Now, I think I'll explain a little bit of why this next line is important. This random next line here is important. So we're just going to file, save as. We're going to call this note3_1.txt because the other one's just going to be note3.txt. Anyway, so we have our scanner. There is a cursor. So first things first, let's take a look at. So the first line would be a number, 43. Second line, another number, 78. Third line, your name. So let's see what the scanner does. Next line, next int, reads this, then stops. Now, if it were to try to read next line, it will go up until it reaches a new line. Now, it starts here, and it's like, oh, this is a new line. Goes past the new line, and then it's done. So that's why we had the empty string when we didn't have these in here. So when it got the next int here, it's like, okay, here's an int. And it's like, next int. Without that next line, it's like, next int. It's like, okay, this isn't an int. Here's an integer. There we go. And then it's good. Now, with this next line's in place, it goes next int, boom, boom. Goes next line, okay. Goes next int, goes next line, And it's like, next line again, it's like, okay. Goes up to here, sees this new line, and it's like, okay. And it goes right past it. And yeah, that works. If that made any sense. So basically, there is a cursor going across your input. Like even when you're inputting this guy, the scanner's cursor is still up here before getting to here. Your cursor's over here when you're done typing it. The scanner's cursor is up here. Once you press enter, the scanner's cursor updates and goes, okay, let's see what we can do. Next int, okay, not an int, there's an int, boom, and it's done. And it's like, next stuff isn't an int, I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist, we're done. And the next line, it's like, and then before it, the next line, it's like, here's the line, we're done. And then it ends the program. And then here, it's just like, boom, ba-doom, 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 but with this, it just adds this in there. Sees this next line, does not include it in the string, by the way. The string does not have this new line character in there. It just sees it and is like, okay, here's the new line. Okay, we're done. And then it's done. So I'm just going to save this. Note 3. And then, well, yeah. So it works. So thank you all so much for watching. If you liked it, please be sure to hit the like button, share it if you liked it, and subscribe for daily content, and be sure to have a lovely day. Bye!